Hello, everybody, and welcome to a live edition of the Unconventional Podcast with me, Grace Hardy. Today, we're joined by Suzannah. So, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi everyone, I'm Suzannah Whelan and I own my practice Sinclair Whelan Bookkeeping, which I set up about 16 years ago, based in Billericay in Essex. And I look after a wide range of clients, limited companies, sole traders and landlords.
Amazing. And so, what was the initial moment you were like, okay, I'm going to start this bookkeeping practice? How did you get to that point?
Basically, I had a completely different career originally, so didn't get into from an accounting background at all. I used to work for Channel 4 on the media industry and I worked there for about 10, 11 years. Really cool job, which I really loved. And then I had children and it was kind of one of those jobs that was work hard, play hard. I had a long commute to London and it wasn't really working for me with two young children. And I felt like I wasn't giving anything 100%. So I knew that I needed to change something and I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to be working or from home, build a business that I could build up around my family as they grew up and grew older. The hardest thing really was trying to work out what it was that I was going to do because it was a massive career change. My dad was a chartered accountant and I remember seeing a flyer about bookkeeping and that you could study remotely and do your qualifications remotely. So that was what I did when my children were little and I set it up from there.
That's incredible. And so, how did you go about getting those first clients?
Yeah, it was really hard. So I told everyone I knew that, I was doing this. I had a friend at the school mums who was an accountant. So she was really helpful and introduced me to my very first client. It was one of hers and they needed a bookkeeper. When you're starting off, everything you learn when you're doing your studies and when you're doing your exams is one thing, but then you start in real life dealing with clients and they're not like out of a textbook. So that was really, really helpful and having someone friendly who I could say, what do I do with this? Or what happens in this scenario? She was going to be signing off the accounts. That really helps. That was my very first client. And then, it was just word of mouth really at the beginning. And I set it up very, very slowly. I wasn't looking to sort of create a full-blown practice within a certain time frame, within a few months. I was lucky that I wasn't under pressure because I still had managed to sort of save some money from when I was working and my husband has a good job, so that was fine. So that really, really helped. So I just grew it really, really slowly and it was mainly word of mouth to start with.
I think that's so brilliant, building it organic.
We didn't really have social media back then, trust it or not, back in the olden days. So
how did I survive? I think that's brilliant. And so a lot of the topics around the conversation now is when we're starting building a practice. For me personally, I didn't even know what desktop software was or that was even a thing. It was just you go to QuickBooks, Xero or Sage and you get a cloud accounting software and you could work anywhere, you could work remotely. And so that's what I did for my practice because I didn't know the alternatives. But obviously you started 6 years ago.
Different, very different.
100%. And so how did you go around? Obviously, did you do the transition from desktop to cloud now? And how was that for you?
So at the beginning, I did all my training on Line 50, as it was called then, desktop software. And my first sort of clients, I used to go to their offices and work on their computer because that was where the software was. That kept me really small, actually. When I got to the point where I did want to grow, it was really difficult to grow because you're stuck in client sometimes every day. I did have a few sort of smaller clients who I did on spreadsheets and stuff from home. It was really restrictive. So I knew something had to change. Cloud software was sort of coming about. So everything all sort of happened at once. So me wanting to start work more remotely so that I could be more flexible and be more efficient, not have travel time and stuff like that, and be able to take on more clients. House software then enabled me to do that. It was kind of a double bonus at the same time. My account manager helped with the 50C, which was with Sage Drive, where you were still on desktop, but you could log in remotely. So I started by doing that.
Yeah.
Sort of spoke to clients and said, I'm not always going to be coming into your office, but I can now log in remotely.
And how did they feel about that transition?
Most of my clients I've worked with a long time. I don't tend to lose clients. I keep them for a long time. My oldest client has been with me since the beginning. So they've been with me 16 years. They were one of the ones that I did start off on Line 50 and moved it. So they were okay, most of them. Some of them were a bit harder to convince. And I had to kind of say, look, you're treating me a little bit like you've got kind of the mentality that I'm an employee here and I'm not, and I never have been. Let me do this. So that happened. And at the same time that I was doing that, I then also had to change my pricing model So it was everything at once. It was moving remotely, changing the pricing model from hourly billing to fixed pricing, which I needed to do as well.
What was sort of the kickstart behind the move from hourly to fixed? Because we talk about it a lot. The six-figure bookkeeper talk about it, moving away from hourly to mixed pricing, but it's actually a very scary thing to do. I have it in my practice where we have packages, but the packages that my first clients are on don't align with the packages that my new clients are on. How do you have that conversation? And it's really scary. What was the Kickstarter, and then how did you implement that?
It had to be done because I knew that I was going to save time by working remotely. I was going to be able to utilize things like data capture software, which was going to save me time. And if I was on hourly billing, if you're saving time, you're billing less and you're paying for the software. So that doesn't make sense. But also for clients, I thought what I would do, I knew that at the back of clients' minds, they might start thinking, well, how do we know she's doing those hours that she's saying? So I approached it from an angle of I'm conscious that you will no longer have visibility over my working hours, well, like you do when I'm in the office. And I think just to give you the reassurance, why don't we move to a fixed price? And then you've got certainty as well. You know what you're paying me every month. But then if I was charging an hourly rate, I had to be truthful about it. So by moving to fixed pricing, it allowed me to kind of really optimize and use those efficiencies that software brings. And at the end of the day, it's about getting the job done. It shouldn't be about how long it takes anyone. So software allows us to do our jobs better a lot of the time. So it made sense. But at the same time, I shouldn't be earning less for doing that.
Are you running a business? Meet your new best friend, Sage Accounting Individual. Whether you're testing an idea, managing a side hustle, or running a full-time sole trader business, Sage makes digital record keeping a breeze. You can connect your bank, categorize transactions, and create professional invoices in seconds, and send them to customers in a click. You can even understand your profits, track who owes you money, and get your taxes sorted from your laptop or your phone. If you need a helping hand, you can get instant support from our Sage specialist via web chat, or connect with an expert accountant like me for expert business advice. With Sage, you can focus on what matters, growing your business. Join over 1.2 million UK businesses already using Sage. You can start for free today by visiting sage.com.
So did you use any software or tools to be able to implement fixed pricing? Because the first problem people have when they come across fixed pricing is, how do I access price?
Yeah, that was tricky as well, because what I did at first was I looked at what I billed a client over a year, divided it by 12 to get a monthly fee. I did round it up a little bit to give me some flexibility, and I did recharge the software as well. So I thought, this is great. I'm getting a really good deal here because I'm still earning roughly the same, maybe slightly more, and it's saving me time, which means I can then take on more clients. But then this was all before COVID. So when COVID hit, everything went out the window and you had so much scope creep with things like furlough and all the grants and stuff. What I hadn't done was I hadn't articulated what was included in that fixed price. It was just I'm going to get all your bookkeeping done for you. And things like after COVID, when clients then grew, which a lot of mine did, it's hard to put the price up because you haven't quantified what the original fee was based on. So then what I did was I started using Go Proposal. And for me, that was like a real game changer because you have a framework to work off. You're including all your services, your pricing for everything. It's all clear and transparent and broken down. And it's really fair because you can say to your client, we'll review it quarterly. If your transaction volume goes down, if you're worried about that, price will come down in line with that. But also, if it's the other way around, which hopefully it will be because we want you to grow, the fee will also go up because it has to be fair both ways. And then if they want to add a service, can you just do this or whatever, you can then go, yeah, sure, it's a new service that needs to go in your letter of engagement, so I'll send you out a new proposal, and you can make sure then you're charging for every fee.
Amazing. And so did that piece of software also give you more confidence to be like, this is my price and this is why this is my price? Because you're asking for all of these sides.
Yes, exactly. And it's all broken down. If it's there in the software to be priced for, it has a value, and the client then understands, of course it's got a value, and of course it's going to be charged for. So it does make it easier.
And what other softwares or tools have you implemented into your own practice for efficiency?
Xenon Connect, which I really love, error checks and stuff. So it's an extra safety net, and it's really good as well for when you're taking a new client and you want to see what kind of state their books are in. Or if you have clients who maybe do a little bit of their own bookkeeping. I've got a few sort of small clients who like to do a little bit of their own bookkeeping. They like me to sort of review it.
Yeah.
And that's a really good way of doing that, and by using that. And then things like Engager for my practice management and Sama for my AML, Cresco for payment links.
Amazing. And so obviously when you're a new practice, you get something called shiny software syndrome. Like today we have all these incredible vendors that it's like you're almost too overwhelmed because they're all trying to sell you something. And I found that really difficult at the beginning of my journey. I went to Accountex Mall and I was being handed flyers of tote bags left, right, centre. I love a good tote bag, so I was sold. Didn't necessarily need all of the software. So where did you start with software and how did you find all the other vendors? And did you make sure they could all integrate, for example?
Yes, that's a really good point, the integration, because I work across all of the accounting softwares. I like to use all of them. I like the variety and I like not having the pressure. But if somebody comes to me and they're already on the software, if I'm not using that, then I've got to move them. So I like working across all of them. That can be a problem with integrations because some integrations don't integrate with everything. Near the beginning when I started, I just thought, well, it's just accounting software. What are all these extra things? I don't understand. Coming to events like this and speaking to suppliers, but also speaking to your other bookkeepers and accountants in your network, you learn so much.
Yeah.
And I think, again, social media's help for that as well. You know, if you think, oh, I've got this issue, I need to, I don't know, pull in sales from this credit card or whatever else. And there's always an app out there. So you can ask people and someone normally knows.
Yeah, building a network of bookkeepers and accountants that you know you can text and ask questions, I think is so important because you will come across things every single day that you probably don't know the answer to, or you want to double check, or you have a bit of software and you're not quite sure how to use it. I had a QuickBooks problem the other day, and so I texted Aaron being like, please help me because I'm confused and I'm lost. And just having that community is so
amazing. That has helped me so much because I didn't have that at the beginning. When I set up, I didn't have any of that. There was no one really. So I had my friend who was an accountant and she was really helpful for technical questions and stuff. But you need more than one person. You need to be able to bounce ideas off other people. And yeah, definitely having a network has been brilliant. And that really only came up with COVID. That was one of the benefits of COVID because then you had all these online sort of really went bad, didn't you? And it was really helpful.
If someone here is a new accountant or bookkeeper and they're looking to build their network of accountants and bookkeepers, where would you say to start?
If you're a member of a professional body, I'd start there. So I'm with ICB. I joined local branch meetings and stuff like that, which are online. You don't have to go out and travel. Come to events, chat with people, and you just build that network. Go to things like 6FB online. That was amazing as well. And just go on social media and search for groups.
Yeah, 100%. Amazing. And so going back to you started your practice because you were a mother. And so what were the expectations of moving on to cloud software, having more family time, and what was the reality of that?
So yeah, when I started, I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to be my own boss, work flexibly. I can work from home. Well, I hadn't considered I didn't work from home at all at the beginning, hardly, apart from spreadsheet work. You know, that really, like I said before, that was really limiting. But cloud software did make that a lot easier. And then, yeah, it's great because you can grow your practice slowly as your children grow up. It is a great sort of career for women and mums especially. Generally, you do have a lot more flexibility, particularly now with the software and the technology.
Amazing. And so we talk about this work-life balance as business owners. I do believe it's a bit of a work-life integration. There's balance. And so what strategies have you implemented to have that? Because obviously, if you're working from home and obviously living at home, how do you split the two or integrate them?
Yeah, it is hard. I am guilty of spending quite a lot of time in my office, even at weekends and stuff, because it is tempting when it's there. I don't mind that because I actually mind working at weekends. I work when it suits me. When my children were younger, they're quite grown up now, but when they were younger, I could do the school run and stuff like that. You know, now if I need to go for a meeting with my son's tutor at college, I can do that, and I can pick him up from college if he needs a lift. So I have got the flexibility, and then that means that I don't mind working at weekends. One thing I do try and do, which I found it's a bit cheesy, but it really works for me, is at 6 o'clock, the dog comes in and wants her walk. That to me breaks up my day. That is my little kind of almost like a commute. Take the dog for a walk for an hour, get some fresh air, process my day. I might listen to some business podcasts or just any podcast really. Sort of splits up the time. And then I do try not to go back into my office on an evening. at that point. Doesn't always work, but
It's a good rule to have.
it is.
Being in the industry so long, what have some of the evolutions that you've seen?
Just so many. I mean, when I started, desktop software, we didn't call bank feeds, we didn't have data. I know, can you imagine? Do you know what? This is going to make me sound like a really real dinosaur. Some clients, a lot of clients, didn't even have online banking. So I had to wait for their bank statement to turn up in the post.
Not the post.
In the toast. And yeah. So it was a completely different, the role was